everybody, I'm Stu Carter from Atamaii TV, and I've got here from that monster mega hit movie franchise, from that entire galactic universe known as Star Wars. I've got the Star Wars Black Series speeder bike by Hasbro Toys, so stand by for a Star Wars toy review. Right, this is by Hasbro, which has had the license to make the Star Wars toys ever since Kenner went away, or they got bought by Hasbro. And last year they introduced the Black Series, which were for collectors. And they're making the Black Series, the fancy collectors figures, in both 3 1/4 inch, which is like your, I'm sorry, I don't have a Star Wars figure, but they, the old 3 1/4 inch, 3 3/4 inch, 3.75 inch figures. They've been doing these for a long time. They're cheaper this way, and you can make vehicles, cheaper vehicles for these smaller figures. But now, and last year they also had the 6-inch figures. This year, this is the first 6-inch scale vehicle for Star Wars that they've done. So that's, again, I don't have the, this is my first 6-inch scale figure. It's the Scout Trooper, right? And so you think, well, what other vehicles can we make for Star Wars in this scale? Because I mean, if you make a Millennium Falcon, right? You make a Millennium Falcon in a 6-inch scale, it's going to be bigger than a house. It's going to be pretty expensive. Maybe that's a good fan project to do. How about, what other vehicles can we do? Maybe like the X-Wing fighters that we've seen in the trailer for the Star Wars movie. And how about the land speeder? That they're calling it the popsicle ship. It looks kind of dopey if you ask me, but okay. How about a Scout Walker? That one, yeah, a 6-inch scale, so that might be about a foot, 3 feet tall. It'd be pretty big. Well, you can leave your comments, suggestions for other vehicles in this scale with me, and I'll leave them in the comments of the video here. Let's talk some more about this. And you might note that I didn't say this is for the upcoming Star Wars movie, which is coming out next year. No. Hasbro's not allowed yet to release any toys for that or even show them to us. We might see them this coming February, and I'll have reports on that. No. This is from Star Wars Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi, which confuses me because I'm old. I saw these from the start. Return of the Jedi was the 3rd movie. Made the third movie, this 3rd Star Wars movie. It will always be the 3rd Star Wars movie, actually one of the better ones, except for the Ewoks. Yeah, I mean, the chase scene, this is, they use this in the chase scene in Endor. That was cool. Ewoks, a lot of people didn't like Ewoks. And they didn't make a lot of toys of those either. Did you ever buy a toy Ewok? Maybe, but I digress. No. The upcoming Star Wars movie is going to be called Episode 7, The Force Awakens, December 2015. We may see toys for that. And the other thing too, Episode 7 is cast in the future. After this happened, in the future. You know why? Because they're bringing back Princess Leia, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and all those guys. And they're old. They're really old now. They're like 90. So you can't, I don't think there's enough special effects in the world to make these guys look any younger, or even like just 10 years older. No. These guys are really old. They're going to be like Grandpa Han Solo, sitting in the car seat, drooling while they're driving the Millennium Falcon. I don't know. They were also bringing back Chewbacca and R2-D2. Well, that's easy, right? Chewbacca, you just put another dude in the Chewbacca outfit. All right. I'm sorry. I won't try it. But we'll talk more about the Star Wars movie in the coming future. We'll talk more about that. Well, I digress. Let's talk some more about the toy. All right, yeah, that's why we're here. So here's a good look at the box. And if my local store hadn't been so rude to put their price sticker here, you'd see a picture of the Scout guy. And of course it just says the logo of the packaging is black, Star Wars Black Series speeder bike with Biker Scout. I think most people call these Scout Stormtroopers. And the warning for ages 4 and up. And the back has got a little bit of a a story about what happens on Endor. I'll just let you discover that on your own. It has an import sticker, but also my version is from Hasbro Australia. Someday I'm thinking to go to, they have an Australian toy show in Sydney. I may go, maybe, I don't know, maybe next year. Yeah, and they got this display stand here they're showing, and it looks a lot like the display stand I've had for my USS Enterprise Star Trek ship. Well, you ready to get this out of the package? Yeah, me too. I'm ready. Come on. Okay, getting the speeder bike out of the package, the first little issue I had was with the base, which, by the way, does remind me a lot of my Star Trek Enterprise ship from Art Asylum, a company that's out of business, but they had a little base for the Starship. The similar to this, it's got these 3 balls, and they will fit into a place on the underside of the vehicle. And there's one that's more stable, only I thought there was a problem because if I put him up, well, now you see, he'll fall over pretty easy this way. But he'll stay steady like this, except because it's intuitive, you kind of think, put the base pointing forward. But I found if I rotate it like this, it's more balanced. So there you go. So see, well, now he tips over forward, but at least he can kind of be a little bit nose up attitude with the base like this. So that's how I'm going to keep it, okay? The guys on the bike, fits pretty good, maybe a little bit bow-legged for being in the package. And I had a hard time actually getting him to sit deep into the seat. He doesn't like to really get into that seat. And I can understand, I'll explain later when I show you parts of his uniform there. The bike has got some simulated weathering on it. It's in this brown camo pattern, right? Not really even camo, just brown, the same kind of brown vehicle that you saw in the movie. So this means the upcoming movie, it looks like they're gonna all be on the desert. We're not sure if it's Tatooine, but if they're gonna be in the desert, you want a different color scheme on this. So that means you got to buy a new bike. They'll probably have a new kind of bike for the movie, the new movie. But there's a little bit of weathering here. You can see some weathering patterns. It's not like super duper stuff like you would see, but then this wasn't a terribly expensive vehicle anyway. But it's a little bit more than just like, you know, brand new shiny chrome just out of the showroom kind of a speeder bike. It's something this guy's been using for a while. There's some details, there's some parts details. We'll have a good look at these. Let's get a closer look. Right, so here's your Scout Stormtrooper, and characteristically these guys come with this unusual style of helmet. And I'm thinking, how are you going to be able to scout when you got your peripheral vision is blocked by your helmet? I just don't get that, but that's not Hasbro's problem. That's George Lucas and the guys who made Star Trek, Star Wars. That's their decision. Now you noticed already there's a little bit of this weathering, this yellowing on parts of his uniform. That's good because he's been out there in the field scouting up stuff. And he's got details on his backpack, probably some kind of a respirator to help him breathe whatever atmosphere he's got to deal with. And we'll pan down with the camera here a little bit and show you the rest of them. And good articulation everywhere. And he's got, you know, details on his uniform. He's got this butt pack, and this thing here on his armor, he's got sort of a fanny pack deal going here, see? And then there's this strap going up underneath his crotch. But you know, that's got to be uncomfortable. And it's also got to make it hard for him to sit down in the saddle. I would say there's a problem there in the design of Stormtrooper armor for these kind of guys. If you're riding, because I know a little bit about riding horses, you don't want nothing between your crotch and the saddle. And if you've ridden motorcycles, I think you would agree with me on that. So, well, talk to George Lucas about it. He doesn't want to hear it. And then, and even better, he's got dust on his boots. It looks to me like sand. See, but this is from indoor, the desert area. Excuse me, indoor is a kind of a wet, forested planet, but it looks like definitely looks like sand on his boots. A nice detail is that his boots have got these Vibram type soles, the lug soles, and then you can see he's got his 2 peg holes, and they do fit on the pegs. There's a peg on the bike, right? He comes with one little tiny weapon. There, right there. It's a holster. Not much of a holster. It's gonna be easy to lose that one. See, there he is holding his little tiny pistol. I think the bad guys are going to laugh at him, and they're going to shoot him from a long way off. I guess he's got to use the blaster that's on the speeder bike. That's probably the better thing. This would just be in case he's caught away from the bike and he has to defend himself against Ewoks. Yeah, and I gotta admit, if you're shooting Ewoks, you don't need a whole lot, do you? Right, so here we're looking at the nose of the speeder bike, and it's movie authentic. I don't believe that this nose detail, there is a weapon on the bike, and nicely, there's no silly flick missile kind of thing. It doesn't have any of those silly gimmicks, but there is, I believe this is the weapon that was used in the movie underneath here. And this is a little disappointing because it was bent. See, I think you could probably play with it with like a hair dryer and get it to straighten out, but mine came bent. Also, another interesting feature is this comes apart right here. This drops off. And some people have suggested that that's a kind of a homage to the original Kinder Toys speeder bike, which the action feature it had was it would break apart, and maybe it's similar to what happened in the movie. And then you can see there's some nice details on the engine there. See, you see some duct work from the engine, and I thought that was nice, and I appreciate that. And you can even see it underneath the bike, see, and then you see there's an air intake piece there, and more duct work, ducting. And then you see his control pedals, and his boots have peg holes, 2 peg holes, and there's a peg on the control pedals. And he can kind of ride forward like I'm riding my hog, or he can like put his toe of his boot into the peg hole there, either way. And looking towards the back, on the back end there, he's got a kind of a, looks like a tarp or a bedroll with a camouflage pattern that is reminiscent of the German Army World War II Wehrmacht camo kind of pattern. I think that's intentional. And here's a hidden feature, not explained, but these panels rotate up and you can barely see a little bit of engine detail inside there. Now, funny, I think Hasbro made a little bit of a mistake here. If this bedroll had not been here, these panels would rotate all the way up. They're hinged right here. They would go up higher, but the bedroll prevents them from doing so. Interesting, huh? Also, I'm going to take the guy off the bike here and show you. He's got a seat there, of course, and you see again the air intake on the starboard side of the vehicle. And then you can see there is a rudimentary control panel, and we know from the movie, right, whether it has both a blaster and a comms link, which Luke and Leia have to jam, and there's a jammer on the bike too. Why would you have a comms link and a jammer for your own frequency on a bike? That's probably what they just what they decided to do. And then there's some little kind of like levers here. I'm not going to touch those because I don't want anything to go off. The control pedals are flexible, so they're not at risk of breaking. Same thing with your handlebars. They don't do anything, but they're flexible, kind of a plastic. And so this is not going to break easily, but these other parts are also fairly flexible, but this is not a little kid's kind of toy. So before I go, I'm going to send my Scout Trooper out. Scout Stormtrooper, secure the perimeter. He's going to go out there and check for incoming aliens. And if you haven't subscribed, you better hit that button and hit it hard, because coming up next, I've got from bin 10, it's the Gravitrix. Possibly the last ever bin 10 Omnitrix toy. You're not going to want to miss that. And so until next time, have a good day.
to kill me, I guess I'm doing okay. I'm lost among the millions.